I want to talk about this, Henry. To the Heat fans, and I'll look in the camera for this. Like, do you actually want Jimmy Butler on your team? Like, that is the actual question here. And I'm going to use a sports comparison. I know this is a basketball podcast, but let's look at it NFL terms for a second. I'm looking at my New England Patriots here. The Patriots, different here. You had an unproven coach who they fired. You have an unproven guy running your front office, and you have a team that is shitty. So there's a lot of discomfort that you're like, okay, coach isn't good, front office isn't making good moves. I don't feel good as a fan about the direction of our team. You let him go. I'm seeing a lot of Heat fans, Henry, whether it's on your TikToks or elsewhere, talking about how Pat Riley always does this. This is all Pat Riley's fault. Da 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 da. Like you want Jimmy Butler. What I'm confused about is Jimmy Butler is he's out of his prime. He's older. He's playing at a lesser level than you're used to with him. He has shown that injuries will keep him off the court, as they have most of this month. And yet, I get the sense that fans still want Jimmy Butler on their team. If you're Miami Heat fans, why? You have the guy as your head coach who many believe is the best coach in basketball. You have the guy who has time and time again rebuilt and retooled and put a good basketball team on the court. They are not that right now. So Jimmy Butler wants to leave and people are like, do what Jimmy wants, keep him there. Why would you? You have good infrastructure. You're not a team like the New England Patriots in football who have bad infrastructure. You have a good coach and a good front office. And again, even if the team isn't good, Pat Riley and that front office have hit on talent time and time again from players that have been cast off and disregarded. So if you can trade Jimmy Butler for a few pieces, you don't have faith those guys could be valuable players. If you trade him for a few draft picks, you don't have faith that they're going to hit in the draft like they always kind of do. I feel like this is so easy, Henry. Trade him. Trade him. Why you would not trade him, or why you think, oh, Pat Riley... I've seen so much of it, Henry, and I told you I had to take it, and I just want to get that off my chest, because the Miami Heat and Heat culture, in my opinion, has nothing to do with the players. Jimmy Butler has made it so. Heat culture is how him and the guys go on the court and play. That is not true. Heat culture is rooted in Spoelstra and Riley and what they're doing, and that's not going anywhere, and I hate the Miami Heat, but I believe, dude, as long as those two guys are running the ship, the Heat can kind of compete no matter what and be okay no matter what. So this whole thing is bizarre to me.
Yeah, the amount of Heat fans that I have seen take Jimmy's side is jarring, because just take a step back real quick. He wants a contract. He wants a contract
max
extension, a max contract
50
extension.
plus million.
All you have to do is look north to Philadelphia and the contract that was just dished out to Paul George.
Yep.
And the level Paul George is playing at. And I think Paul George and Jimmy Butler are pretty good comparisons to one another. I think Paul George is a lot better as a 2, Jimmy better as a 1, but they're similar-ish enough players to compare here. Do you think Philadelphia wishes they could take back that contract with how Paul George has performed in year 1, and you're going to give that next year to a soon-to-be 36-year-old Jimmy Butler, even if you want to shrink down the deal, like the 3-year deal Kawhi Leonard got? I think Kawhi is making $351 per year-ish, right around there. Yep. I'm sure the Clippers wish they didn't do that deal as well. Like, we're seeing these like injury-prone wings getting to the later stages of their career, how it turns out when you give them $50+ million a year. And it's not good. No. It hasn't been good.
Well, and if I may, Henry, compared to Kawhi and Paul George, you could argue Butler is more detrimental because he can't shoot threes. Like, he has parts of his game that are inherently bad, as opposed to Paul George, who's not played well this year, but years past has shown he is a fully well-rounded player. Obviously, Kawhi is Kawhi. But Jimmy Butler, and the way Jimmy Butler plays, he kind of plays a certain style of basketball that, frankly, not many players play anymore. The mid-range foul baiting, not being able to shoot the three, that's not what the NBA is now. So you want to get into bed and invest in that guy? That's a mistake to me.
Yeah,
it just is.
He's not a very good supplemental player. And shout out to our boy Nicky. Tyler Hero has been by far their best player this year.
Absolutely.
And I think Jimmy, part of the reason why he is sort of behaving like a toddler is that I think he's starting to see the writing on the wall that this kind of might be Tyler Hero's team now.
Correct.
And Tyler Hero is going to have the ball in major moments down the stretch of critical games. And I think he's upset about that. So if you're looking at these potential options for Jimmy Butler, they're all for him to go be a second or a third best player on a team. Is that exactly where Jimmy Butler should be? Because he's been the best player on a team for the last 5 years. The last time we saw Jimmy Butler as a supplemental player, he was very good at it, but that was pre-COVID. So you were getting a whole different Jimmy Butler who is, I just don't want to keep harping on this, but like his foul reliance, like his reliance on free throws is truly absurd. You know, this season he's taken like 10 shots per game and 6 free throws per game. Well, that's like Giannis level. Like that is above the free throws that like Giannis and Anthony Davis get.
Yeah, it's, again, I just am having a really hard time, Henry, wrapping my brain around, like, in a fucked up way, Jimmy Butler asking out, if I'm a Heat fan, that's a blessing. Because Pat Riley, I think actually before Jimmy threw a fit, Riley may have been looking for the best deal. And he probably still is. He's such a shark, that guy. Like, he's going to get the best deal for his team. But I've said this to you off air. I'm going to say it here. I wouldn't be shocked if he sends him to fucking, like, Washington for Kyle Kuzma or some bullshit. Being like, you know what? You want to go be the guy? Yeah, go to Azkaban, Sirius Black, goodbye. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he did that. We'll get into a second the teams that are rumored to be in on Jimmy Butler, and quite frankly, I find them both to be surprising, but we'll get to that in a second. But I just think where the East is heading, you cannot contend in the East. I saw a horrific report the day after Butler did his press conference.
Was it from a Miami area reporter?
It always is. Sources say within the Heat, they believe they can beat Boston in the playoffs. You can't. You cannot. With the roster you currently have, you cannot. I'm sorry. You can't even beat Cleveland. You probably can't even beat Milwaukee. Like, you can't beat the Knicks. Maybe you can't. Like, I just, maybe not Philadelphia. Orlando. Like, it's over, man. Like, I don't know. Again, and I guess the thing, I have such a grudge against Butler because we treat Jimmy Butler like he is, like, we're treating this like it's Belichick versus Brady. Guys that were in the trenches and won championships together. Pat Riley's won championships. Jimmy Butler has not. And again, the same people that say, Henry, all the time, the Lakers' bubble run was Mickey Mouse, talk about how Butler has led the Heat to the finals 2 times. Well, which is it then? Because the Lakers' championship is Mickey Mouse, but Butler has 2 finals runs? I just don't understand it. So, again, Heat fans asking, do you want this guy? Because I'm having such a hard time as an outsider understanding why. He has shown this year he has regressed. If a team is going to overpay for him, I take that in a second. Yeah,
I think that is probably long-term the smart financial move because not only is he regressed as a player, he's increasingly less available, which is crazy to say because he was never super available in the first place. But also, you can't really quantify what that does in a locker room. I don't know if you saw the brief clip of the Tyler Hero interview in the locker room after Jimmy Butler said, I don't think I'm going to get my joy back here. It must really suck for Hero and Rozier and Duncan Robinson and Bam Adebayo to all go into work knowing that the best player on our team, the leader, Jimmy Butler, doesn't want to be here and is not only showing that he doesn't want to be here, he's actively tanking our chances of winning by going out and shooting the ball 5 times on the court when he's obviously a much better player than that. He's hurting them, psychologically, mentally, and he's also hurting them on the court. And that's kind of who he is. Like Jimmy Butler, for as successful as he has been as a player, which for a guy with his upbringing, going to JUCO, Marquette, 30th overall pick, it's pretty incredible that he's had this career. But I think part of the reason why he's had this career is because he's a stubborn asshole. And stubborn assholes tend to wear out their welcome quickly. And I think his shtick in Miami, now that they very clearly have regressed as a team and he's not by himself good enough to lead them to the finals, I think Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra were probably sick of it. They didn't want to sign him to a contract. He threw a hissy fit over it, and then they said, listen, buddy, you're not Jason Tatum. You're not Giannis. You're not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We're not going to treat you like them. he thought he'd earned it and threw a hissy fit. And
and
that's why
and
we
that's the
are
thing.
where we are.
I've seen too many people, Henry, say Pat Riley overreacted, as if like as if people think Butler hasn't been doing anything behind the scenes. Like people are like,
We know he's always doing stuff behind the
that's
scenes. If
what
we
I'm
know
saying.
anything about Jimmy Butler,
People like 7 games for a press conference remark. It's like, okay, first of all, if Pat Riley doesn't act, then he literally shows he's got no control. Like, and Pat Riley is old school. He does what he does, but it wasn't just for the remarks. It's for the braid thing. I imagine Jimmy Butler isn't just like, around practice, around the team, happy, and then he gets to the press conference like, trade me. Like, this isn't. He's not a sociopath. Like, there's definitely things going on behind the scenes, and so people that are like, oh, Pat Riley overreact, stop it. And I don't know what's going on in Miami. You got Tyreek Hill asking out too. I thought everyone wanted to be in Miami. Apparently not.